Dang, you taking our heater out?
I think this car's already had enough heat.
We have our seatbelts now, so we're safe. What is happening, Budge Builders, and welcome back to the channel. If you've already seen our previous two videos on this car, you know this is a 1972 Mercury Comet GT that we bought from Copart for $175. Still not sure why we did, but we did come to find out it has a built 302 and a top loader 4-speed. And as crispy as this thing is, we actually got it running, and then we got it to move and stop under its own power. I don't know. Now this car was in a garage fire, body's pretty well damaged. We're going to preserve what's here, and we want to make the car safe for ourselves and other drivers because we want to enjoy this thing. Now we've got it running pretty good, and we've got it stopping well, or we did. If you remember from our last video here, a big issue we have is drivability. The bushings have completely melted away, and so the clutch pedals hanging in here barely, brake pedals barely hanging in here, and we need to repair and solidify those. Now what's cool, on the older ones you couldn't, but on these you can actually buy a rebuild kit for that pedal set. So we're gonna pull the dash out of this thing, go ahead and get those pedals rebuilt. While we're in here, as you can see, the carpet saved all of the bottom of this car, so thankfully top side and bottom side, it didn't take too much heat, just in certain spots. And so we're gonna go ahead and make sure we clean up and coat this flooring. And we wanna work probably in the rockers and a few other places, like I said, to preserve and solidify this car. I did already go ahead and pull the cluster out. There's our fuel gauge. Yep, that's nice. Yep. Oh, speedo. Okay, that's good. Might have to replace that. Wiring might need some replacement. I think we need this piece too. That one should be okay. We can clean it up. Yeah, those will be all right. Dang, you taking our heater out?
I think this car's already had enough heat.
Alright. Here's your pedal box. With everything out of there, we can see the firewall didn't take too much heat. Kick panels are super strong. Front floorboard's great. All around this side, a little flaking, but super. Hopefully that didn't ring your ears. Super, super solid though. No concerns with it. We've got a little bit of rot there in the rain tray. I don't think it's a big deal. What we're gonna do for now is at least treat it, and then that could be something we go back and tackle in the future once we have something like a parts car. The only thing you will notice, we did have these. We got a little bit of rot there. What's crazy is just how solid it is around it. And on this side, we got some rot. Now, I'm sure it was probably just speckled, but that right there is why you can't just throw panels on top of stuff, because all it does is hold moisture. And it probably wasn't that bad, wasn't too bad. It may have been when that got put in there, but as solid as the rest of this car is, I doubt it was. And so we definitely have a little bit of floor work to do. What we're gonna go ahead and do now though, is I wanna get in here and wire brush everything. I wanna knock all the flaking off. I wanna get any of the old paint off. As far as up here goes, clean up the tunnel and everything, clean all the way up to the back, because we're gonna coat everything with a rust preventative chassis coating, and then we will have to get some floor, we'll probably have to get a full floor pan for here, and I'll have to at least do a partial on that side, but might as well do a full. But overall, looking good and looking safe. That's the biggest thing. We just don't want major structural integrity issues. As you can see, everything is actually cleaning up really well, and a majority of everything is actually really solid. So that is good and only making us feel better. Definitely not complete. Still need to do a little bit of the roof and have to work in this rear area here, but that right there was a day of wire brushing and then coating. I don't think I ever want to wire brush something again in my entire life. Whew. But I like rusty cars, so I guess we're gonna have to, we still got a lot of wire brushing to come. The priority area was taken care of all around here, so we can get a windshield back in it, and up under where we can get the dash put back in. It was a lot of work. That was crazy, but there we go. It's what we had to do to try to rescue as much of this car as we possibly can and get it going down the road. This stuff here, fluid film, which is apparently super popular as far as running inside rockers and stuff, like on your northern trucks and everything. And so what this is this is kind of like a fogging like you would use when you are winterizing your boat or something. So this is a penetrating and lubricant, so it's a fluid film. So this is you're gonna spray it in there. It's gonna penetrate the metal, the rust, but it's also going to leave a fluid film that's not gonna run off or wipe off. So that kind of reminds me of a fogging oil. You can see it actually in there going to town, penetrating everything, but it's also leaving that goopy fluid film which is kind of what we want. We want to make a big old goopy rust protective mess in there. That stuff stinks. I figure we might as well
go over top of everything.
Yep. Sound deadening it. Try to make this interior as comfortable as possible. Not sure why, but there we have our pedal box all cleaned up, coated down with some nice gloss black enamel. We've got some corrosive block waterproof grease, and then of course our Scott Drake bushing kit. I don't understand why it slides. What it looks like we're getting into here is this was actually originally an automatic pedal set that somebody converted over to manual at one point in time. I did notice that where the Z-bar push rod goes through, it's been cut open. So this was originally an automatic car. The pedals are the same, or at least similar, because you can just bolt on the stuff that needs to be there and put your pedal on, other than this bushing or from the factory is a little different, or at least the insert is. And so they do have a kit that you're supposed to use that goes here and you put a washer on and then you're supposed to weld the washer. Well, then as far as depth goes, we wouldn't be able to actually clip in our clips. So what I'm gonna do, instead of having to go on this side, I'm gonna go see if I can find a washer that's the same thickness but goes around the diameter here. No washers for the inside, so we will have to do the outside washer like this, which realistically, once you put the pedal in, these bushings can't go anywhere. We just want to keep it from sliding back and forth. And what we can do later on is actually get the lengthened in style. Maybe a little overkill, but it ain't going nowhere. Bushings. There we go, pedals are done. Now we can get those bolted back in the car. We should actually be able to use the brakes and clutch. Moving back to the dash here, not even sure why I'm trying to save this thing. You know, the biggest thing is the dash is not actually a structural piece, so we're just trying to save this thing to put it back in there. For now, I think eventually we'll have to replace it, but it is nice because it still has the VIN and everything on there. But what I've gone ahead and done is coated everything in that chassis coating, so it kind of solidifies what's left of the dash there. And now for the front, it's got to keep its patina Yeah. We gotta do that first. No, it goes from underneath. Yeah. Got our boot on. We ended up putting the little plate here and then putting some sound deadening over it. Shifter's in place, feels pretty good. And then I went ahead and got the factory shift knob that actually goes to this 4-speed transmission, which I think that's really a neat look. But this thing has been wallered out and tapped down quite a few times. And so what we're gonna actually have to do is get a little helicoil to put on this, and then we can mount that shift knob. Now we can put on our steering wheel. So what we did is go ahead and remove the whole lockout and everything, so we have no issues grabbing. And then we put spacers in between here, new bolts, so the steering wheel is sound and safe, and went ahead and clear coated everything. So it has that matching patina, I guess if you want to call it. I think this thing's beyond patina. Now with the dash and the steering wheel, the shifter and the pedals in there, we need some seating. We had the one in there and I don't know, it was kind of rough for this car. This car needs some nice seats. We've got some like 66 Mustang seats. And the only reason we're sticking them in there, that was a $75 set of seats that we bought off of Marketplace. And this can always be something temporary, but I think this will be nice. We'll get them in here. And they came with some seat belts, so we can get seat belts mounted back in there, because that's something we want to be able to have. So we'll throw our seat belts in there, and then let's go ahead and throw these seats in here. Before we go driving, you'll remember in our first drive attempt, this shifter is terrible. Very hard to get into gears. Really kind of funky, floppy. And what's going on here, 69 was a specific style shifter. It's a non-rebuildable, so there's no bushings or anything. So when they get worn out, they're worn out. And it has two separate springs. One that's a neutral holding spring that allows you to kind of have some stiffness going into gears. Then you have your reverse gate spring. Both of them have either failed or they melted or they melted and released in the fire. And so we have, this shifter's just terrible. At this point, I'm not sure if there's anything we can do with it. If you know something, let me know. All the forums that I've searched, people say, take them out of there, do something different. So that's what we're gonna do. And this is what we'll be going with. An old school Hearst competition. This is actually one that Dad had sitting in the garage for, what, you've had this thing for 25 something plus years. And so we're gonna steal it for this project.
Just plug out tire like you said. That's weird.
Looks a lot different, don't it?
Yeah.
Over 50 psi of oil pressure sitting here at idle. So we went through the shifter. Sadly, the original one, the Hearst one that we had, will not work in this car. We were able to make the original one work pretty good. We put some bushings and stuff in there. I still don't like it because it doesn't have a reverse lockout, and it's not the happiest shifter. So definitely pretty soon want to go ahead and install at least a new shifter. But I'm ready to drive this thing. We've got the dash done, we've got the seats in. We have our seat belts now, so we're safe. And I want to take this thing for a spin because we have barely driven this thing. Big old choppy cam going. I want to see what this thing's got. It is nice being able to actually push this clutch in and let it out. Definitely a heavy clutch. That's gonna work my leg this year on Hot Rod Power Tour. But now we've got seats and seat belts and brakes and clutch, and we don't have a windshield yet. We'll probably need one of those soon, but shifter's so much better. This is awesome. Look at my hat back there.
It's just hanging out. Up, gone.
Oh my goodness. I don't know about you, but I got a little pucker going on. There's a brown spot on my seat. This thing's awesome. Okay. This is officially the fastest car we have. There's first. Okay, so this thing they're checking it out. What do you guys think? I think they're going for dinner. It's dinner time. The shifter kind of hung up. Still not very happy, but this car's ridiculous. I got butterflies. Oh, we got a thunderstorm about to come in here. Isn't that gorgeous? This beautiful specimen of an automobile. Gorgeous sky, clouds, field, and it's an absolute riot. The 911 is fast, it's fun, but it's different. That is riding by the seat of your pants. That is awesome. That is so much fun. Oh my goodness. I want to see if I can get this shifter freed up really quick. I want you to take it for a quick spin. But I think it'll just boil tires as long as you stay in the throttle. What? What? Oh my goodness, this car's so much fun. It's just such an experience all in itself because it's ridiculous. It's so silly, but it drives really good. It feels really good. And it's rowdy. It's so much fun. Of course, Dad needs to experience this incredible automobile, right? It's so goofy looking through the windshield. This thing's freaking hilarious. This reminds me of driving the Rabbit, the crusty Rabbit, except there's a lot more rust blowing in our face. Is that a good or a bad thing? the neutral. Shifter's terrible.
There it went.
Your hat's in the trunk, man. This is great. Driver's seat's one thing.
I told you.
Passenger seat is another. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Woo!
Oh man, I'm gonna get stuck in reverse.
Is it stuck again? Can you get out of it?
Yeah, I had to figure out how to push it.
It's a race car. You're supposed to climb over the doors. Oh my goodness. What'd you think?
It's different.
It's different.
I don't know.
It's awesome. Come on. It's just a bone stock, lightly modified.
I like how you said light
Lightly modified.
and modified.
Lightened and modified. It weighs slightly less than it did originally. It had an interior gut, most of the sheet metal gut, like most race cars. Oh my goodness, this thing is so much fun. But we've got that fresh, new interior in there, wrapped up. No, there's a long way to go, but we've gone through and we've taken the time now to go ahead and solidify what's there. And especially the more I dig into this car, I know there's some concerns with heat and stuff. Your big panels took heat, especially like the hood here took heat because of the insulation, everything, the engine bay. The top took a lot of heat because this was a vinyl top car, and the headliner. But as you can see, that original paint in the floor, we had some there on the firewall. The baseline of this car didn't take that much heat. I think especially with everything in it, it got all sprayed down, peeled off some of the paint, but no major issues that I think would structurally affect the car. I feel safe with it. I feel comfortable with it. I think it's an absolute blast to drive. And now that we're sealed up here, we can go ahead and get a windshield on the way for this car. And we got to do lights and everything. A little bit of suspension work because these springs have actually collapsed. The shocks are completely blown out. I didn't realize the springs were as bad as they are. Otherwise, we were going to go ahead and do the front end in this video. But it runs and it drives. I mean, look at this thing. I can't believe it actually does as good as it is, and it is so much fun. This car is a blast, and I cannot wait to do more with it. I know it's kind of silly. I hope some of you enjoy this. We like the weird and the different stuff, and I think this one's a little bit strange. But that is going to wrap it up for this episode. If you have enjoyed and you enjoy rescues of the crispy stuff, the crusty stuff, the rusty stuff, and overall just fun old cars, be sure to subscribe button, notification bell to keep up with our future uploads. And if you have been a part of the channel, we really do appreciate it so much. We get to do this. We get to play with cars. We get to have fun. We get to rescue them and bring them back to life because of all of you. So thank you so much. And that's going to wrap it up for this video. Peace out and catch you all on the flip side.